This being Gandalf's first time interacting with Bilbo's ring, we get to see the beginnings of his worries that this may be the one ring to rule them all. The look on his face after we see the flashing image of the Eye of Sauron is an excellent and subtle bit of acting from Ian McKellen. Gandalf immediately being lost in thought, unaware of his surroundings, shows us that this is a transitory moment, telling the audience that we are soon to leave the peaceful opening and move closer to the dangerous otherworld beyond the Shire's protective hills. The music building up to a wailing crescendo of strings and dropping off suddenly as Frodo deposits the ring into the envelope not only aids in Gandalf's refined change in demeanor, but also tells us that the conflict which is now set in motion is capped off momentarily, sealed and hidden away until it is later revealed by fire. Gandalf's brief mention of riddles in the dark has a double meaning. First, he is referring to the famous chapter of the same title from The Hobbit, where Bilbo and the creature Gollum compete over riddles in Gollum's lair beneath the Goblin City. This is where Bilbo acquires the ring after finding it on the cave floor, and later uses it to trick Gollum into showing him the way out. Second, Gandalf's mutterings suggest that he has his own litany of questions to which he must seek out the answers in the dark parts of the world. All we are left with is a single warning to Frodo as Gandalf disappears into the night. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. Various designs for the One Ring were created before one was settled on that was based on producer Rick Porras' wedding band. Porras had used his ring as a prop for a test shot of this scene's opening sequence, and later suggested to director Peter Jackson that it should serve as the base for the final design that was used by ringmaker Jens Hansen. Originally, production designer Grant Major had envisioned a fatter, antique-style ring. He also thought that the process would be more difficult, from needing to get the design vetted by studio executives. The final decision was, however, left up to Peter Jackson. The ring's voice came about from the ring becoming more of a character during the script-writing process. Initially, there was to be a loud humming noise that would overwhelm the score during intense moments involving the ring. Personally, I think that the ring having its own otherworldly and eldritch voice displays the power of the ring in having its own will and desires. Ian McKellen thought that Gandalf's voice should be raspy from age and smoking. That was then combined with an older English accent that was well articulated from frequent conversations and a slight impression of J.R.R. Tolkien from the author-narrated audiobooks. The design team researched medieval building and crafting techniques and incorporated those methods into the design of the sets, props, and costumes, all of which were then aged far beyond what is typical for a film. Each item was given a patina to age it between 300 and 1,000 years. The reverse shot of Gandalf and Frodo moving through the halls of Bag End were shot on two different sets, which were identical except for their scale. Gandalf is being shot in a smaller set to make him look larger, and Frodo is being shot in a bigger set to make him look smaller in comparison. The shot overlooking Gandalf's shoulder is on the same set, which became known as Big Bag End. Ian McKellen is standing on top of a box to make him appear too large for the room. The final shot is using scale doubles. Frodo is being played by Elijah Wood's half-size double, a man named Kieran Shaw. Though this scene is rather short and feels like it moves by quickly, soon to be overshadowed by the dinner scene revelations, it is important for setting the story in motion. Gandalf's interest in the origins of Bilbo's ring lights the fuse that will ignite the whole of Middle-earth into conflict. Although it is handled rather briefly and unceremoniously, we see Frodo become the master of Bag End, preparing to spend the rest of his life as a trust fund kid, or at least enjoying his upcoming years as one of the more affluent members of the Shire until the day that duty calls upon him to act on behalf of others. While the previous scene was commanded by Ian Holm chewing up the scenery with his big acting, Ian McKellen draws us in, piquing our curiosity about the upcoming events with subtle cues and minute adjustments in his behavior. Over the past two scenes, we have seen that Gandalf is not a wizard to be trifled with. He had been set up early on as a jolly character with a grandfatherly or fun uncle demeanor. When he is pushed and his wisdom challenged, however, his paternal instincts arise, and now that his proverbial children are possibly in danger, he grants them the best advice he can and sets off to do what he must to keep them safe. These traits are what make Gandalf the archetype of the mentor in a hero's journey. His job is not to perform the grand tasks alone, but to help others prepare themselves for the trials and tribulations that must be overcome to win the war. He must be the patriarch to many, assuring that the fellowship under his care is equipped to move forward without him, because he cannot always be there. To do so, he must be benevolent yet just, imposing yet welcoming, supportive yet trusting, and loved yet respected. Gandalf fills these roles, all the while having enough quirks to make him a unique character. His crafting of fireworks, his short fuse, and his dismissal of idiocy, which makes him appear to be conceited at times, do not diminish his character but add to it, making not a cliché, but an example to work from for other authors and creators to follow behind the work of J.R.R. Tolkien, setting a bar for mentors in fiction that is difficult to reach, but admirable and often satisfying to attempt.